What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. Now, as many of you already know, Felix Verdejo has a fight scheduled in February against Flores, his first fight since his motorcycle accident. Now, he is still the mandatory for the WBO belt, the belt that Terry Flanagan currently holds. Terry Flanagan made a request with the WBO to make a voluntary defense. Ergo, we got the fight made for April 8th in Manchester versus Terry Flanagan versus Petr Petrov. Now, also in the article that I was reading this off of, it's on the Boxing Scene, you guys can go ahead and check it out, that the WBO has stated that the winner of Flanagan versus Petrov will have to defend the title against Felix Verdejo in their very next fight. Now, if you ask me, it's not such a bad thing. Even though I want to see the Verdejo versus Flanagan fight, being that Flanagan is currently the WBO title holder, I do want to see Felix Verdejo get his first title shot, obviously. But I don't really see this as being such a bad thing, and I'll explain to you why. Well, in a way, it makes sense. Terry Flanagan, staying active, trying to get a stay active fight. I'm sure he has already been informed that he will have to defend his title against Felix Verdejo sometime in the future. So, it's always good to remain active and, continue fighting. And this fight is happening in April, which is 2 months after Felix Verdejo's fight, which means that sometime maybe in the later summer months or maybe the early fall months, we can possibly get to see a very spectacular matchup, assuming that Terry Flanagan gets past Petrov, assuming Verdejo gets past Flores. But it's great because, even the sanctioning bodies are pushing towards this fight. So there's no doubt in my mind that this year sometime we could see a Flanagan-Verdejo fight. Like I said, assuming he gets past, assuming they get past their next opponents, which I'm sure they should, but you never know. It's boxing. Anything can happen inside of the ring. We don't know how Verdejo is going to look coming off of his accident and, coming off a long stretch of inactivity. So that's why I always say, assuming that fighters get past their, fights that they already have scheduled, because I don't like to jump the gun too early, even though I am favoring both guys to win both of their fights, you know what I'm saying? But it's never, to me, I don't feel it's 100% safe to say that they will win, you know what I mean? Because there's been many times where, I was really excited, all we had to do was get past one fight, and then the fighter ends up getting upsetted. It happens in boxing, time and time again, so that's why I say assuming. But nevertheless, they are favored to win their fights. Now, I made a video about Felix Verdejo returning, to fight in February against Flores, and I also mentioned that I feel that Verdejo is one of those, next big thing type of fighters, given where, being a very talented boxer, that's always the main thing. The most important thing to me is he's a very talented boxer, a very skilled fighter, and then not to mention that he are at such a young age, and, how early he is in his career. He has an entire country supporting him, the country of Puerto Rico, and they live and die with their fighters, you know what I'm saying? So I always felt Verdejo could really be that next superstar. Obviously he's had some complications throughout his, in his career. Some question his commitment to the sport, some, question how seriously he's taken the sport, and then not to mention his motorcycle accident. So we've had a few, minor setbacks with Felix Verdejo, but I guess we can really gauge how he's going to do, going over this year, how he fights, how he's fighting, how he's looking, you know what I'm saying? We could really get a gauge on how we can expect Felix Verdejo, his career, to either improve or decline, over a period of time. Not to say that anything is for sure, and, obviously no one can really predict the future, but, that kind of rests entirely in Verdejo's hands. So, being that he is a bright young man, he does have especially in his own country, stardom. So I'm sure there's plenty of distractions out there for him. So it really lies in his hands. I really would like him to, not saying that, just kind of off the speculation of him not taking his career as seriously as he should. I'm not saying that's what's going through his mind exactly, but for future, for future plans and going ahead in his career, I would like, just for him to make sure that he's not putting himself, in life-threatening situations like with the motorcycle accident, or even career-ending situations like with his motorcycle accident. But his overall commitment to his craft while he's in the ring, his boxing ability, obviously at a very young age, the kid is a spectacular talent in my opinion, but his development process over a period of time, when he does take that step up in competition, or when he is starting to fight the best fighters out there in the future, I just hope that he does remain disciplined and committed to his craft, and also committed to his career in boxing as a whole. But that's all I really kind of wanted to touch down on this video. It's not really something that's like breaking news or anything like that. I mean, I guess to you guys who do pay attention to Terry Flanagan, who do pay attention to Felix Verdejo, or who pays attention to the 135-pound weight class in its entirety, I felt like this was significant. It was definitely significant for me. When a sanctioning body is really pushing for a fight, it gives me some sort of comfortability that the fight may happen. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, nothing is set in stone until fight night, but nevertheless, it is something to look forward to in the future. But go ahead and comment your thoughts on this situation. Also, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your boxing homies, introduce somebody to boxing. 2017 is looking good. Don't let any of your boxing buddies or newcomers to boxing miss out on any of the 2017 action. But that's all I got for you guys on this one. I'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.